Well, it's the reality of the fight game, right? We only know of the big names once they become big, once they burst onto the scene. And that is no different for Jamahal Hill. Humble beginnings, and yet he climbed to be a UFC champion. And I got to tell you, I think just like many other people, I didn't think of Jamahal Hill when he came into the UFC as the next great light heavyweight prospect. Obviously, he had a good knockout on Dana White's Contender Series, but I think he surprised a lot of people each and every step along the way. You know, most fighters arrive when they break onto the scene in the Contender Series in the UFC. But of course, a fighter's journey and all of our journeys are much more than just the latest thing we accomplished. One of the questions I get asked the most is, so how did you get to working for the UFC? And of course, it was a decade-long career after going to college, after being focused on it all through my childhood to get to where I am today, which is calling fights for the UFC on ESPN networks. So let's do that for Jamahal Hill. Jamahal Hill was born in Chicago, May 19th, 1991. That makes him 31 years old when he won the UFC title. He'll turn 32 likely before his next fight. He moved to Grand Rapids, Michigan when he was 12 years old, and that is still the city he proudly reps today. Lion's Den MMA is the academy that he fights out of. After graduating from Rogers High School, his plans were to play college basketball at Davenport University for the Panthers in Michigan. He took a year off of school. He took some time off of school before college. And during that time, he watched Anderson Silva fight Forrest Griffin. And that fight, Silva versus Griffin, is what made him fall in love with mixed martial arts. So much so that he wanted to start training. And I think right then thought, maybe I want to go pro at this. Started training, made his pro debut in September of 2017. Earlier that year, though, Jamahal Hill had a life-defining moment and a personal tragedy strike his family. His older brother, Vince, was killed in a car accident. It was in March of 2017. Jamahal said Vince is one of the people that really fed his passion for martial arts, one of the first people that really fed his passion for martial arts, that they would just roll in the house and there was that bond there between them two. And he says he walks into every fight fearless because he knows nothing in the octagon will compare to the pain that he felt when his brother Vince passed away. It is a constant driver in his career. He's also a father of 6 kids and has said every step of the way he fights for those that supported his dream from the very beginning. Because when you're trying to be a fighter and when you're saying you're going to do big things like become a UFC champion, there can be a lot of people that give you the side eye, that say, are you sure you want to do this? And that doubt you can get to the top. He was just 5-0 when he fought on Dana White's Contender Series. It was season 3 in 2019. It was the first season of Dana White's Contender Series at the UFC Apex. He ended it with a TKO, and he got a UFC contract. 2020, he made his UFC debut in January. And since 2020, no other light heavyweight has had more stoppages by knockout or by TKO than Jamahal Hill. He won all 3 of his bouts in 2020, including a knockout of the veteran Ovince St. Preux in December. That was his big arrival to the scene, the big moment where it was like, okay, he can beat a name like OSP. Maybe we should start taking this guy very seriously. But his adversity came soon after that. It was in 2021. His next fight was against Paul Craig, and it was the lone loss of his career to this point. It was at UFC 263. He got taken down. He got into the jiu-jitsu realm with the Bear Jew, and of course it led to an arm injury that fight fans won't soon forget. But he battled back after that. He knocked out Jimmy Crute in just 48 seconds. And then 2022 was huge. He fought Johnny Walker in his first UFC main event. He knocked him out in less than 3 minutes in the first round. It was then a 4th round TKO in another main event against Thiago Santos in the summer of 2022, before leading him to be matched up with Anthony Lionheart Smith in March of 2023. But the fight game, as it often has the tendency to do, offered an unexpected opportunity for sweet dreams, Jamahal Hill. A title shot in Brazil at UFC 283 against Glover Teixeira. And of course, by now we know Jamahal Hill not only won that fight, he did so in the style that he wanted. And he used a word, a career-defining word, from way back before he fought on Dana White's Contender Series. Check out some of these sound bites from the feature of his Dana White's Contender Series fight.
Throughout my entire career, I've stood for one thing, and it's dominance. I'm locked in. I'm on a mission. I want to be the greatest ever. I'm not content. I'm not settling. I'm not happy. I got my hit list. I've been training for a long time to take out one man, John Jones.
Using the D word, dominance and dominate. He certainly did that in Rio. He connected with 232 significant strikes, which is a new single fight light heavyweight record. That is one way to arrive to the big time. But we know there's more to the story. And now part of Jamahal Hill's story will forever be known as a UFC champion.